JHK here for the South China Morning Post, SCMP MMA. And again, it's only been, I think, a month since we last spoke. Dan Hooker, man, it's like you get to Vegas, you get your fight going, you have a great performance, you show many aspects of your skills. Now you're living the Vegas life. How's the last couple of weeks been?
No, it's been good. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Just the training out here, having a couple of friendly faces, having Frank Hickman out here helping me out and kind of taking the lead on my camp has been a pretty massive help. But yeah, there's a lot. There's like a lot out here for a fighter. There's obviously the Performance Institute, which you can take care of all your physiotherapy kind of stuff, strength and conditioning, nutrition, like that's all taken care of, and the facilities there are pretty incredible. But also just working with Frank down at Syndicate. He's obviously like a wrestling coach down there lately, so he's taken the head of wrestling at Syndicate, and then training with him and training in the team classes with Wood and guys like Mike Powell, like having coaches like that around, just like giving their 2 cents has been just a massive help.
Yeah, you got some OGs, so to say, at Syndicate, right? With Mike Powell and Frank Mir and I believe Forrest Griffin is there too.
Yeah, he pops in now and then, but yeah, like John Wood is the head coach there. He's like been cool, man. Like welcome me with open arms, let me train with the team, and yeah, like I'm a OG Mike Powell fan, so that was pretty cool. Like having him, just working along and him teaching classes and getting to like pick his brain from all the experience he's had throughout his careers. But yeah, like obviously I still like buzz out when it's like Mike Powell there, because I've like heard stories about him and the kind of beast he is in the gym and the beast he is and throughout his career. So it's been pretty incredible.
And I heard that you had a run-in with David Goggins recently. Is that true?
Oh, we saw him where we play like Sunday. We got like an active recovery with pickleball. It's like a mix of like tennis kind of thing. But yeah, like his wife plays pickleball, so he'll come down to the court and kind of watch and support her. So yeah, like that's pretty crazy too. Like just seeing a guy like that around.
Yeah. Do you follow him?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone that didn't know who David Goggins was, or has seen one of his crazy videos where he's running a couple 100 Ks and wild, man.
For sure. And I also seen you on the courses lately. I don't think I've seen that before. Have you always been a golf fan?
Nah, not at all. Not like since we've been here, and just like met some cool people. Big Bull down at who's been helping me out with my wrestling. It's like a friend of his, Pat Ramsey, and he's been taking us around the courses and kind of showing us, just showing us and showing us the game, showing us the fine game of golf. Wasn't a fan before, but definitely a fan now.
All right, so you're gonna start playing now?
I'll perfect the I'll do the driving range, and then I'm do the mini part. I think I've played golf a couple of times in my life, pretty terribly. I signed up for a charity golf tournament, which I did horribly at. So yeah, I'll maybe further along in my career where I'm heading a bit down more to retirement, I'll take up golf or something like that.
For sure, the retirement plan, golf and bare knuckle boxing.
Golf, bare knuckle boxing, and gi jiu-jitsu. Those are my three retirement activities.
Now, all this talk about CKB moving stateside got people over there intrigued. Has any fighters, coaches reached out to you, invited you to train there at their gym, or maybe even come and train with you guys when you guys move to the States, if that happens?
For me, like I've had, because I've trained in the States before, obviously out at Team Elevation there in Denver and worked with a lot of like really good guys out there with like Drew Dober and all those guys at Team Elevation. So they kind of reached out to me, but obviously you can't like I can't be in a position to like run my own training camp. You can't like that's something that I've done in the past, and obviously learned like the lessons from that is you can't coach yourself or you can't be the head coach. So kind of Eugen, all my coaches have been working like through Frankie. So they talk to Frankie, they plan the training out. Frank keeps them like updated. So me as the fighter, I just get to focus on my training and showing up to the next sessions and like making the adjustments in my game that I see and feel. So I can focus on the fight and focus on the techniques that I need to be sharp for the fight. Putting my training together is something that I've just left to my coaches. So it's down to like huge. It's down to all of those guys, like what I do, where I do, and who I do it with.
Since joining the UFC, how many camps have you done where you ran the whole show?
I would say only like a couple. Yeah, only like a couple. Like we're talking like featherweight days. Once I moved to lightweight and moved to city kickboxing full time, it's been huge. Kind of driving the ship in terms of my training ever since then.
And what were some of the things that you took away from having 100% control of your camps? Because I think a lot of fighters still do that now, even at the highest level.
Um, just like direction from like a outside perspective is like obviously like a lot different. Like you obviously train hard. Like even when you're running O camp, you obviously train very hard and push yourself to the limits. But having someone else directing it, like they will really like put you in the bad spots where you really need to be in, or really identify things that you should. They can trim the fat, cut out all like the wasted time. Or when you're directing your own camp, you can kind of go down some rabbit holes and like waste a bit of time on things that are really not good for your game in the long run. So yeah, just having like a head coach to kind of oversee everything and tell you like kind of what's a waste of time. Like they'll steer you in the right direction. So having someone like Eugen, Twist, and Andre, and Mike, and Dougie um, planning my training and doing all that for me makes it very easy to be a fighter. Like you just focus on your opponent, you just focus on how you're feeling, and you just focus on the fight. It's like a huge weight off your shoulders to not have to be concern yourself with all of that outside noise.
All right, well, the fight, man, coming up is UFC 267, Islam Makhachev, Abu Dhabi. I feel like this was a fight in the making for the last year. And since it got signed, there has not really been much talk online, which is kind of cool because sometimes you see fighters like go back and forth, and then when the fight gets signed, they continue that. But it's like, you're going to fight. Is that the attitude? And I don't need to say nothing else. I just need to train and step in there and do my job.
Yeah, like he ain't said nothing. Like this is like his party. I'm just there to spoil it. Like there's not. I feel like there's like the story. The fight already has a story. Like it's a lot of. There's like a massive amount of intrigue about this fight, and it already needs a story. So I just like it'll come. Like I'm sure, like when things get a bit closer, um, like it'll come. Obviously, we've got like everything is gonna start like kicking off now. Really, like now it's only now that the media is kind of starting like a little UFC media thing tomorrow, and then as the fight draws closer, here we got a press conference over in Abu Dhabi and things like that. So it's like there's still time, and it's like obviously very intriguing. But yeah, it's not something I'm not. It's his show. It's his show. I'm just there. I'm just there to kind of come along and throw a spanner in the works for him.
From your perspective, what are the implications for this fight?
Oh, you can kind of. you can kind of feel it. Like you can feel how bad the UFC wanted this fight, how bad the UFC wanted him on this card, how bad the UFC were trying to get like a bigger name guy or higher rank guy to get in the cage with them. That there's a lot at stake. Like it's I feel like it's like the Gagey Chandler and then us. Like it's kind of whoever comes out with the best performance will essentially position himself for a title shot. And obviously, like a lot can change, like in the Poirier Oliveira fight. Like obviously, if like say for some reason like Oliveira wins and Chandler wins, well then like the rematch of Oliveira and Chandler doesn't really make that much sense, you know. So it's like, yeah, there's like a lot of things, there's a lot of cogs moving, but I feel like stepping up to this plate and capitalizing on this opportunity puts me in a pretty incredible spot after they get their job done.
Wrestling. Wrestling is the topic that's going to be talked about endlessly leading up to this fight. I just wanted to get, an idea of like when you first started wrestling, tell me about the experiences that you had in the beginning.
Yeah, like it'll date back to like pretty early on in my career. I was pretty handedly out wrestled in 2009 by Ruthless Rob Lacida. That's my guy. He's a cool dude. Yeah, like he come over to New Zealand. We fought for like a South Pacific title there in New Zealand, and I was like quite handedly out wrestled then. And then ever since then, I was just kind of like, well, like because I was like a long guy, like long rangy guy, and I didn't before that I just would do jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, and then if you wanted to strike, I'll strike, and if you wanted to grapple, I'd grapple. Like I didn't really wasn't that interested about like directing the fight. But really after that fight, I was just like, well, that sucked, and that's something I never want to happen to again. And I saw like I would sit back and watch like guys bust their ass to get to the UFC, and they would get into the UFC and they would just get held on their back for 3 rounds. And that was like something that I looked from the outside and I said, that will never happen to me. Like when I get to the UFC, that's the one thing I don't care if it's I get my ass kicked for 3 rounds, but you're not just gonna like hold me there and make it a boring fight. So it's like been an aspect of my game for like a very long time, which is like it's like a funny thing to have people say like, oh, it's a bad like stylistic matchup. Um, where like for me, I consider it a good stylistic matchup. I feel like throughout my career there have been a lot of people that would have loved to have held me on the ground or taken me down, and it's just not that easy.
Yeah, it's never happened. And a lot of people they look at your frame, long, linky, long arms, long legs, and the people that break down the fight are like, that's going to be an advantage for Dan Hooker. Do you feel like it's a major advantage for you as a grappler? Well, actually, not as a grappler, but as in the grappling exchanges.
It's like anything. Like as long as you can use it, it becomes an advantage. Yeah, like obviously in the wrestling, like I'm not like I doubt he's going to be like familiar with the way that I grapple. You can kind of look at the guys that he trains with. They're all like of a pretty similar build. They're all that quite stout, quite stout, like shorter, stockier, like wrestler, and that like lends itself to kind of a different style where I'm like like a lot of leverage, like lanky, and I do like a bit of but quite good at unorthodox stuff when it comes to grappling.
Islam's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, he said, I forgot to who, I think it was TMZ, that you're only showing up for a paycheck for this fight. What are your thoughts on like managers and agents getting involved with the media or the promotion of a fight?
Um, for that instance, like like he's not gonna say like that. Like Ali's the one that's gonna be saying that wild stuff, because it's not like in their nature. Like Islam's quite like a conservative Muslim guy. Like he's not gonna come out and say wild stuff. Like Khabib said some wild stuff, Ali said some wild stuff, but like Islam said nothing. So that's why I don't feel like I have to. I'm not fighting Ali. I'm not fighting Khabib. Like they can say whatever they want to say. They can hold um, any opinion that they want to hold. But it's like the guy I'm stepping in the cage with, he hasn't said a thing. So why should I? Yeah, I don't feel like the real need. But yeah, like it's good. It's good and bad in some places. Obviously, because they're like so conservative, it's kind of cool that he can come out and say like the wild stuff and sell the fight for them. But yeah, like they to a point, you know what I mean? Like nothing he said has offended me or like been disrespectful or anything like that. But they can believe what they want to believe. They can saying that I'm just like coming out and doing it for the money. It's like, well, I do all the fights I do for money. So it's like, like, does that? I don't really like understand how that like that changes anything. If you know what I mean. Like it's it's for a profession. Like if you didn't pay me to fight, I would stop fighting just because it's like it wouldn't be worth it. If you know what I mean. So yeah, I don't really understand. I don't think that there's much substance to that argument.
Yeah, I'm doing this for a paycheck, so I don't know if if I'm wrong for
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. Like, forgive me if I'm wrong, but like,
Uh,
yeah, the fight before that I did for money. Like, I
uh,
don't understand. I don't understand the question.
yeah. And the betting line, it seems to be popping up often here and there. I've been seeing it, and you've been the underdog, you've been the favorite. Has the odds ever affected you, or impacted anything in your training or in your preparations leading up to a fight or inside the fight?
Oh, I think it's great. Like, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything that's going to change that betting line too much, because I feel like the boys are going to make some money. You know what I mean? Yeah, I've seen like paying like $4 or something. Like that's good. Like I'm gonna stay quite quiet about how confident I am for this fight, just because I don't want that line to shift too much before I get my bet before I get my bet set in. I might, yeah, even get to fight week and say, nah, I haven't been training and I got some injuries, see if I can get it up to $5 or something.
That's a good plan. That's a good plan. Now, yeah, because I see a lot of money like coming in on you. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people are supporting you in this fight, and there's of course the side that is just Islam and Khabib and that whole crew, and you've dealt with that before. Now, a particular thing that I wanted to ask you about is PTSD in combat sports. Does it exist, and does it impact fighters the same? Do you think?
PTSD
Yeah, from fights.
from so from fights. Like you're saying, if you're like in a fight and you get like knocked out or something,
Yeah,
like do you
exactly.
think it will affect? Um, I would say some people, yeah. Like it's not, yeah. Well, it wasn't something that I. It was something that it was like always probably my biggest fear when it came to fighting. Was like getting knocked out. My entire career, I was just been in there like, man, if I get knocked out, like that's the worst thing that could possibly happen. And then it happened, and then it really wasn't that bad. Um, which was like the funny thing about it. Like it really wasn't the end of the world. And then that's why, like I even said in some interviews after the knockout, like I gave it like a week or 2 weeks before I like did any interviews after the fight, just because I didn't want to do like an interview a couple of days after the fight and then just like how do I describe something I haven't experienced yet? Like if I do an interview straight after the fight, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I'm fine, or like, yo, I'm tough, or yeah, I feel sweet, like. But it's not like you're not giving like an honest answer. You're not giving like a true reflection of how you feel. So I just took like a week and 2 weeks just to truly experience it because I'd never experienced it. Yeah, like I didn't like stay in bed all day sad, and I wasn't like depressed, and it didn't like upset me that much. And it really wasn't like the worst thing that's wasn't even like worse than any other loss. Like it wasn't the end of the world. Like you got to take a bit more time off, um, just to make sure, just to look after your own health. But besides that, like it really wasn't that bad. So I feel like everyone's different. I feel like it's like those guys that come out and they're like undefeated and they're like this and that, and nothing bad's ever happened to them, and then it happens to them. Then I feel like it could take some time to get over. But like for a guy like me, who's like anything that could possibly happen in that cage has already happened to me. So it's like I can deal with no matter what happens. I can deal with it. If I slip on a banana peel and he chokes me out in 10 seconds, like I'll be all right. Like I'll I'll get back. Like I'll get back. Like I'm obviously planning for the best and expecting like a great result in the weekend. But this is fighting. Like if it was called winning, every man and his dog would do it. It's called fighting. Like anything can happen in that cage.
You started the year in a title eliminator against Chandler, and you're ending the year in possibly another title eliminator against Islam. Was this kind of all formulated in your mind throughout, after the loss that you took against Chandler? It seemed like it, man, because you were trying to push to get back in as fast as possible, and then I don't know, it seems strategic to me.
Nah, like the second fight was like pure opportunity. Like the last fight, I just really wanted to fight because I feel like I turned like some pretty big corners in there. It was like a lot of time between those, like almost 9 months or something. And I feel like I turned like a lot of corners of my training and done a lot of really like matured as a fighter, really matured as an athlete in that amount of time. So I really just wanted to showcase that development, and that was pretty cool to go out there and be able to show it. Like I show what I wanted to show, which is that yeah, like I'm one of the best fighters in the world. Like that's what I wanted to come out and show, and to come out there and like make it look, even though it's not, like make something like that like look quite straightforward was what I wanted to achieve. The second fight is just, it's cool because I get to like capitalize on being me. Like there'll be a lot of guys that just couldn't do it. Like they just couldn't turn around that quick because of a lot of different reasons. Like because of the weight, because of the fight, because of like all of these different things. So it's cool that I'm able to capitalize on that opportunity for being me, and for after fights like not being an idiot, and like getting back in the gym quick and looking after my body and things like that. So it's cool, but it's definitely not planned, but it's just something I've been, I guess, preparing for my entire career is adjusting on the fly.
One last thing, not lately, but John Jones, he got kicked out of his gym. Jackson Wink, and I believe Colby Covington was kicked out of his gym. So it doesn't happen too often. But from your experiences globetrotting, training at different places around the world, does it happen more often than people think?
Um, yeah, like, well, I would say a good head coach, like a good gym owner, a good head coach, has to be very mindful of the culture of his gym, or the culture he's creating within his gym. Because say you let John Jones do that, well then if another guy, like a amateur guy with a couple of fights, is just like, oh, that's okay, then like we can do that. That's like acceptable. That's acceptable here because the guy at the top of the food chain is doing it. It obviously trickles down into the culture of your gym, or the mentality of your gym, or what happens and what's acceptable. So you have to be, yeah, you have to be very careful. So I would say like bad gyms, like they won't really regulate the culture, but like a good gym with a strong head coach is constantly like reviewing that and taking a good hard look at the culture of his gym and where he wants that culture, like the direction of that culture to take over like a longer period of time.
For sure, man. Anyways, October 30th, UFC 267, Fight Island. Dan, appreciate the time, man. When do you take off? Is it in the next couple of days?
No, we go like Monday.
Okay.
Kind of like the least time over there, the better.
Yeah.
Like yeah, so we'll fly Monday, and I believe we get there like Tuesday. We arrive in Abu Dhabi on Tuesday.
All right. So no plans after the fight, or do you have a plan like maybe a vacation since you probably won't be able to get back to New Zealand for a little while?
Well, like the UFC's kind of jacked me off a place here in Las Vegas, and like Frankie's still out here for like the time being, which is cool. So man, they fly us out like this, like a few hours after the fight, like our plane ticket back. So we'll fight, jump on the plane, come back to Las Vegas, and then my family's coming out here. On the my wife and daughter arrive here on the third. So yeah, we'll like see from then. Like I haven't thought really beyond that. Like there's some cool stuff and some cool people that I'd like to introduce them to here in Las Vegas, which is yeah, it's just exciting. I haven't really thought past that.
And that's very exciting, man. You get to enjoy that time and take this situation and turn it into something good for you and your family.
Yeah, like that's something I've always done. Like like I turned the lockdown into New Zealand into like a kind of like the best case scenario. Like it's kind of like a pretty incredible been a pretty incredible like last couple of months, like making the most of a bad situation.
All right, Dan. Thank you, man, so much for the time, and good luck on the rest of the camp and everything.
No trouble. Thank you,
All right, man.
brother. Cheers
Take
for the
care.
time.
Bye.